Hello Supercross family, and welcome back to another video. My name is Jonnie Vance, and I'm one of the pro riders on the Supercross factory team. Now, today I just got back from the Music City Nationals, and of course, after a long weekend of racing, my bike is very, very dirty. However, this case is a little bit different because actually on Friday, there was thunderstorms, and on Saturday, we had a little bit of sprinkling as well. So, not only is my bike covered in dust, but it's also got a little bit of mud, and the drivetrain needs some serious love. I figured today I could walk you guys through my process of how I clean my bike after a national, how I re-grease the chain, how I make sure that everything's dialed, and get my bike back in the top shape before practice, actually tomorrow night. So, let's get it. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna clean is gonna be the tires. And how I'm gonna do that is I'm actually gonna take a hose to it and wash it down. But I don't wanna get water in my bottom bracket or in some of the other parts within my bike. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take both wheels off, rinse them off with the hose, and then we'll get back to cleaning the rest of the bike. So let's go do that right now. So I just finished spraying down the tires. Now you can see they're a lot cleaner than before. But now we're gonna move on to cleaning the drivetrain. Now, I like to clean the dirtiest parts of the bike first, and then I'll clean the actual frame and body last. I do that because if I clean the frame and body, and I come in with a toothbrush or something, or I'm scratching off some of the grease, a lot of times that stuff will get back onto the frame, and then I'm pretty much undoing everything that I just did. Here, I have some water and basically dish soap. I believe it's Dawn dish soap. Now that I have the chain broken off, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop it in here, and we're gonna use this to basically degrease the chain. With some of the rain, I was originally running a dry lube. I had to put some wet lube on here because the chain started locking up under the wet conditions because the lube isn't designed to work in that. So right now I'm running basically 2 different chain lubes on this, and I basically want to get some of that wet lube out. You can pretty much use whatever degreaser you want. This doesn't really matter all that much, the exact product that you use. This is just what I'm using for right now. It's kind of makeshift. I wish I had a nicer setup for it, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of agitate the chain in the dish water, in the water and dish soap, and then I'm also going to take a brush and I'm basically going to get in there and start scrubbing the chain. Okay, so after about 5 minutes of scrubbing the chain with this brush, you can barely even see the chain in there. This water was clear when we first started, so that's all the stuff that we're getting off. So now that we've broken up a lot of the dirt and some of that old wet lube that I had on there, let's refill this bucket up with clean water, and we're basically going to rinse the chain off. The chain is rinsed off, and now I'm just letting it hang up here to dry. I also used this towel to basically kind of get all the water off, and I shook the chain a little bit to shake out any water that was in between the links. You want to make sure that you get as much of the water out as you can. You don't want any rusting or anything crazy like that happening. So I'm gonna leave this chain hanging here and basically let it dry while I work on the rest of the drivetrain. I'm gonna show you a product that I'm gonna use to clean the grease off of these teeth, get the teeth looking like new. Okay, now to clean the rest of the drivetrain. As I said before, I wanted to make sure that I get some of these teeth cleaned as well, get all this grease and stuff off. Now, this might seem like product placement, but this is just the products that I like to use. You can essentially, again, use whatever products you want. These are just what I use when I have access to. These right here are Silka gear wipes, and basically these are like degreaser wipes. So it has a degreaser in it that can take off this lube, and you can also use it to clean your hands as well. So I'm going to use this thing that it also has 2 sides as well. One side is smooth and the other side is like coarse to, again, agitate that grease and dirt and basically help lift it up off of it. So now I'm just gonna use this and lift off some of this grease, but I'm also going to be careful not to get any of this degreaser inside of my hub. You don't want degreaser inside of your hub, especially your wheel bearings. Now look at that. It is all sorts of clean now. All of that grease is gone, just like that. So now I'm gonna do the same thing, but with the chainring now. Okay, same thing as before. I'm gonna use this and go in between each of the teeth and basically get all of this dirt and grime off. Now we've completely stripped this of all of its old grease and everything. We've cleaned each of the teeth. Now the drivetrain is pretty much complete as far as cleaning goes. Now let's take the rest of the time to basically wipe down the frame and clean the other components of the bike. I just recently got this stuff, Stoner's Invisible Glass, but it's basically like a Windex. It's just a more like automotive type of Windex. I like using an alcohol-based cleaner because it evaporates. So you pretty much always, you don't have to worry about having any residue left over or anything like that if you can't get into some of the tight parts of the bike. So I'm pretty much gonna spray the frame completely down with this, and then I'm gonna use a microfiber cloth to break loose all of the dirt and just get all that stuff clean. Here's a pro tip for you guys. See how there's some like dirt in there? And then there's also dirt in like little small crevices. One thing that you can use is a Q-tip. You can actually get inside of the bolt and clean it, as well as get into smaller places like this dirt right here, or even some dirt that's trapped down in there. Another thing that you can use is a toothbrush. This is just a normal toothbrush, nothing special. I like to use a toothbrush to, get into the pedal, like scrub out the springs, and just get into any small places that I can't really get into with a rag. So toothbrush, Q-tip. All right, now it looks like everything is clean on the bike. I cleaned the whole frame. Made sure I got in all of the nooks and crannies, and pretty much the whole frame itself is clean. Now the only thing that's left to do is to start putting the bike back together. And I'm also gonna make sure to give these rims and hubs just one last wipe down. But it's easier to do when it's on the bike. So I'm gonna start building up the whole bike, and we should be done. Okay, we've got the whole thing back together, and as you can see, she's already looking shiny. But the last thing that I need to do now is I need to put lube back into this chain now. So we stripped all the old grease off, got all the mud, all the dirty stuff out. This whole drivetrain's clean too, as well. See, it's kind of shiny. So now what am I gonna use for lube? I like to use this stuff. Again, this is also made by Silka. You can use whatever lube you want. This is a wet lube. I decided I'm just going to go permanently with wet lube, you know, just in case if I have another rain race like that, I don't want the dry lube getting washed off again. So I'm just gonna rock wet lube pretty much all year. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 1 drop of this and I'm gonna put it on each of these roller pins. Just 1 drop per pin, go all the way around the chain. As you can see right here, I marked this pin with a Sharpie. This is kind of like my master link. Some other chains will actually have a master link. So this is gonna be the pin that I start at, and I know that I have done every single pin when I'm right back to the starting point. So I'll put 1 drop here, 1 drop here, and then just go throughout the whole entire chain. Hey guys, chain is lubed and everything is clean. That's about it. That's pretty much the whole process that I go through. I don't do this every time I clean my bike, especially the drivetrain part. That's more because it's a bit of a special occasion, but pretty much this is my process. This is how I get a deep clean of my bike and make sure that everything is clean and ready to go for the next session. So the only thing that's left to do now is take her out to the track tomorrow and get some laps in.